Hey guys, just checking again with the audio because we usually need to just check that. Is the audio good? Aaron, okay, you hear me? Great. Let me just make sure the browser source is good. All right, so I think we're up and ready to go. Well, Aaron is in the chat. I don't know if anyone else is in the chat. Let me just send out a notification that I've started. Okay, so 4 concurrent viewers. Okay, that's pretty healthy, and hopefully you guys have a good stream. Let me just make sure the stream is working on my end. How are you guys doing? How is everyone's day today? Alrighty. Well, it doesn't hurt to let's start looking at the market. You know how we usually look at the market, and it's I don't know. You could say a little therapeutic to look at the market. So let's see what we have for today. So if we click on our main, and by the way, the topic of today is EIP 1559. Hey, nice. Winning the game of life. That is what we want to be winning. You know, I think everyone remember when they used to say life is a game. Life is a game that you must play to win. Okay, so I think everybody on this call is widely aware that Bitcoin hit all-time high of 61,000. So I think everybody it deserves a little clap right now in the chat. That's honestly, you would think 4 years ago that this is insane. And look at this 24-hour low and 24-hour high. That's crazy. In today, somebody went from 56,000 to 61,000. That's insane. That's an insane amount. Fully diluted valuation 1.2 trillion. So I think especially right now, Bitcoin is on a good trend upwards, and I think personally that there's a summer high we would be going for. That's where I think it is. We could look at Ethereum. Ethereum 1.9. Glad to see it getting back up to 2K. I was really sad to see it down. I'm really glad to see it up. And but if you look at it compared to BTC, it's still not tracking as well, because the last time it was 1900. Bitcoin was around what's that? It was much cheaper. So in a sense, technically, Ethereum isn't doing as well, but I'm still happy to see it where it is, because it could have been much worse. And once we're back over 2000, I believe when we do EIP 1559, which is what today is about, and then when we move to roll-ups, which is something I could do a separate video about, I do believe the price will be going up. So, guys, I see 7 concurrent viewers. So if I get like 2 or 3 thumbs up that we're ready to go on the topic of the day, I'll shoot across to that, and we'll be doing question of the we'll be doing the EIP 1559. We'll do question and answers. I wouldn't be doing research today specifically because this weekend is my sister's wedding, and I still scoped out time for this stream, but I don't have a lot of time to work for. But I definitely feel like the education is super necessary to have out there. I don't want people saying there isn't access to information. And even though there are multiple other YouTubers you could get this information from, I'm doing my due diligence to present it, then create those presentations. It helps me to learn, and then I should be able to advise people technically in the future, and that's where it goes. So Aaron, I got a thumbs up from Aaron. Do we have a second thumbs up in the chat? Let's look at some other prices, because I don't want to start and people aren't ready. Okay, Nicholas Jacob, that's 2 thumbs up. So I'd like to say that is that's looking good. Binance coin is still up. Whoa, Polkadot going back up to that 40 mark. So interesting at how when BTC is up, Cardano is going a little down in the red. But let's move across to EIP 1559. So no, that's the wrong button. That is the wrong button. Get out my trusty pointer. Okay, so EIP 1559. This is a Ethereum improvement proposal. It's stolen from BIP, which is a Bitcoin improvement proposal, and it's specifically where people could propose certain changes within the infrastructure. It gets debated on forums, and then finally it's either approved or denied in terms of consensus among people to be included into the system upgrades. So specifically with EIP 1559, it was created by Vitalik Buterin in 2019, and it specifically deals with changing the Ethereum fee model. So let's get into that. The myths we will be discussing today is that ETH will become deflationary. ETH now has a hard cap, and fees will become low. So it's like kind of explaining what this problem actually solves, how it solves it, and what that may mean in the future. So let's get to the current fee model. It's called the first price auction. It's very similar to Bitcoin. Basically, there's a block. You can see the block here, and there's some person that wants to get his transaction included in the block. This transaction has what we call a gas price. In Bitcoin, it would be a miner fee or a tip fee, but this is the gas price that is necessary to run the transactions in the block. The reason I say run the transaction in the block, because in Bitcoin, the only transaction is really to send or move the Bitcoin. Whereas in Ethereum, there's actually, the system works like an operating system, like a script. The more scripts, aka the smart contracts, the more gas needed. So that's why there is a gas fee and a gas price. And then anything above that is a tip to the miner. And that is the current fee model. So the person puts in a transaction, they guess some gas fee based on previous transactions, they throw it in a block, and then the miner would take his fee from that and include it in a block. So that's a simplistic approach to how this would work, explaining how blocks work, or the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine. That's a little more complex and out of the scope of this video, but that's definitely very important to understand within Ethereum. So the wallets adjust for the fee for confirmation time. So if you are familiar with Ethereum and actually sending Ethereum, the wallet will ask you if you want slow, average, or fast. But the problem here, and you see this 0.01, 0.02, and 0.04, that is years ago. No longer you have fees that level. It's $2, $3, $5, $20, sometimes $100 per transaction. And the reason for that is there's so much volatility in the market at the moment that everybody has to keep putting more and more fees towards the miner to include their block, and therefore all transactions are just too expensive. It's literally not economical to run any project on Ethereum, essentially. So an unlucky user would put in their transaction to mine, and it's just a normal transaction. Then a new NFT or some project launches, there's a lot of activity on the network, and then that transaction may never get processed, and they could lose their fees they put in trying to get it included in our block if it doesn't get included in our block. So this is just is a very inefficient model, and it possibly works better in Bitcoin because the simplicity of the transactions in terms of types of transactions and the logic in that. But with smart contracts, it becomes very difficult, especially when you're trying to do a lot of fancy things within the blocks. So let's talk about the goals of EIP 1559. It's to make transaction fees more predictable, reduce delays in transaction confirmations. They want to improve the user experience by automating the fee bidding system, and they want to create a positive feedback loop for network activity and the ETH supply. And we're gonna dive into what that actually means, because it sounds like I'm saying a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but until like we go through some scenarios, you wouldn't understand what that really means. So EIP fee model changes the one we discussed before, which is just a typical first price for auction, into the fee containing two parts. There's a base fee and then there's a tip, a minor tip. The base fee, which is to be burnt, is a minimum fee to be included in a block. This fee is dynamically adjusted based on how congested the network is, and we will get into how that fee is dynamically adjusted. Whereas the minor, this is the minor tip, it's an incentive to prioritize a transaction to get included in a block during high network activity. So miners still get tips, but the base fee would be burnt. When I say burnt, as in it will be destroyed and it will no longer be on the blockchain. There's no way to track it. It would be end of cycle, and therefore it's almost like you're destroying ETH, and you could say in some way deflationary, and we'll get to that. So how it achieves this, one of the minor changes is with block size. I remember doing a video before on and we discussed Bitcoin Cash, and we talked about changing the block size, right? And currently, in terms of gas limit, the capacity is 12.5 million. But Ethereum is planning to move it to 25 million, but not in the same way Bitcoin Cash did it. Bitcoin Cash just raised the block limit and just said, okay, all new transactions could fit in bigger blocks. Whereas these block sizes are dynamic block sizes, and anytime the block size is more than 12.5, which will now be half a block, anytime it's more than that, there's a whole network effect to that, and we'll discuss that in a few minutes. So how the base fee scales, remember there's the base fee that gets burnt. So anytime there's over 50% network utilization, the base fee is incremented. So anytime there's a lot of people using a network, there'll be more base fees. The base fee will be higher, and that is being burnt. And anytime there's less network fees, so the block sizes are very small because not much transactions are coming through, the base fee could actually become less, and we'll be burning less. That's a simple oversight on the base fee. So let's get into scenarios, because that's what you guys want. So over here, we have a typical Ethereum block, let's say at block level 100. Let's be real, these blocks are in thousands, but let's say we're at block 100. And you could see it's about 50 GUI. This is the gas needed to get a transaction included. And then we're currently on a normal network activity. People here, these people want to get a transaction included, and they say, okay, I'm going to put the 50 GUI because I saw 50 GUI in the preview in block 100. So they put their 50 GUI. But at that same time, CryptoKitties is launching. The CryptoKitties NFT launch, and there's a lot of big ballers, these wheels with a lot of money, and they say, okay, I'm going to put 100 GUI in for the gas fee to prioritize my transaction. What happens is there's a high network activity, because now all these people are competing to get their transaction into the blockchain. So these people, unbeknownst to them of this situation going on here, they have to pay a high fee, whereas these people here are the people effectively causing this high network activity. So now that we go to block 102, which is in the future after this high network activity, sorry, you would see there's a 12.5 million gas cap, and that is what I meant by the block size. It's 12.5 million gas could fit in our block, so you are basically bidding for that 12.5 million space. So the people who submitted with 50 GUI, they will have to wait very long until the fees come down such that they will get included in our block. And the only way to get in is to bid higher. So it's just a ruthless cycle, and the length of time you have to wait till the fee market to come down, it's very unpredictable. So let's get into our EIP 1559 model. We have these blocks, and these blocks, let's consider that 12.5 million a 50% block. So that means the usual block, which would be 100% in the current model, this is now a half-filled block. And you could say the base fee is 50 gas, right? And on the normal network activity, remember we're redoing the same situation under EIP 1559. The people would be paying the 50 base fee plus the 1 GUI here, which is the tip to the miner. So they say, okay, well, the 50 plus 1 tip to the miner. And then CryptoKitties launch, the hugely successful NFT. And then the rich people say, well, I'm going to put 20 GUI to make sure I get prioritized into the transaction. Now, what's going to happen is because there's so much congestion, the block sizes will go to 100%. Everyone is getting filled into that block. And now we hit that 25 million glass size. But the people who actually looked at the previous block and saw 50 GUI, they actually got included for that 50 GUI, even though the block size went up to 100. So it was 12.5, and then the new block come and it doubled, but they got in because they previously put it at 50 base fee. And the network knows because this was 50 GUI, this new block should be 50 GUI. However, the network then realizes that it's over 50%. And thus, in the subsequent block, at block 102, the GUI fee is increased. And that is because once you are at over, let's say 100% fill blocks, the base fee keeps increasing. So more than 100% of blocks means the bigger the base fee. And what happens is the only way to get included in those blocks are back to bidding higher. But how EIP 1559 solves the problem of these high blocks is anytime anytime there's consistently sequential high block sizes. So you're gonna see let's say 100% block, 100% block, 100% block. Every single time the base fee increases. And then what is eventually going to happen is it's going to be so expensive to do a transaction that people have to say, I'm going to stop sending transactions. And what's going to happen is that's going to allow the blocks, the amount of transactions in our block to go eventually down to 50% because people aren't willing to pay base fees that size. And once the block reaches under 50%, it will get back to normal base fees. So looking at that, I could just show you the calculation here that 12.5% per block. So every subsequent block that is over that over network utilization, it would increase. So 20 blocks would be 10x the base fee. 40 blocks would be 100x the base fee. So eventually you have to stop sending transactions or it will literally be impossible or too expensive economically to do anything. By the way, if anybody could just leave a message in the chat saying they understand, that would be really helpful because I don't want to be confusing people any more than I need to. So, like I said, eventually people have to stop sending transactions, otherwise they will just be burning through their money. So what actually EIP 1559 is doing is we are swapping the volatility in fee prices that you will see in the bottom there. Could I stop this from showing up? This caption? I'm not sure. Anyway, so you would see on the bottom of the page there that we are swapping the volatility in the fee prices for volatility in block size. So essentially, what's going to happen is before you would have these huge spikes in prices and you'd have to wait forever for them to come down. But what's now going to happen is whenever it shoots up, the block is going to be getting filled and it'll be getting filled at 100%. But the fee will be so expensive that they have to stop. They have to stop sending transactions. Otherwise, they would probably spend more money in the base fee than the actual transaction they are doing. So you can see here in terms of fees, because the base fee incrementally increases per block, that it's more predictable. And a wallet could just look at the previous block and know the base fee to set in the current transaction. Now, effectively now what you have is predictable prices. Because of that, the wallet it becomes a much better user experience. The person doesn't have to send money and have to worry about if it will be included for that price, because you know the previous block what the price was and you know the network utilization. If you know the network utilization going up, you probably have to send a better base fee. So now wallets could be very predictable in the cost it sends out to the network in terms of fees. Now the question to a lot of people is, why have the fee burnt? And the reason why the fee needs to be burnt is to stop miner collusion. Because if that base fee went to the miner and it wasn't burnt, miners will always collude to make sure blocks are 100%. And therefore you would always have big blocks and it will always have high base fees, and that base fee will go to the miners. So the solution to this is to burn that base fee, and thus there's no way to collude to make sure the blocks are big. So the problem with Bitcoin Cash that Bitcoin had was that they didn't want continuous big blocks. The reason they don't want continuous big blocks is because validators that hold the entire blockchain, you want to make sure that they can continuously keep putting the same block. So in Bitcoin, it's 1 megabyte block sizes, and you want to consistently allow people to store 1 megabyte every 10 minutes. But here we could actually have more than the 12.5 million, but there's an incentive to stop sending big block sizes. So eventually the block sizes will reduce to 50%. They can't continuously stay at 100. So also there's a fee cap. The fee cap basically says that if I put in the fee into the network and that fee is not able to be mined, it will not send through that transaction. It will not try to push it through because you're not in the fee cap. So basically, you know that you're not gonna have like a fee. Let's say a transaction go into the network and then burn through all the fees you attach, and then it didn't get through in the smart contract, or you sent a fee that is not high enough and you think that it will have to wait until the fees come down or it's included in the miner block. You know exactly the fee you attach to a block, and you would know exactly when a block arrives of that fee, and you'll be pretty confident that it will be included. Now, a lot of people express this to me, which is that the miners are not happy. So here you could see that these are some mining pools: Flex Pool, Spark Pool, Ethermine, Nano Pool, etc. that are doing what we call hashtag stop EIP 1559. And then there are pools that are supporting EIP 1559. And what I'll say to people is, essentially, this just creates a huge, almost you could call it arbitrage opportunity. Because if all these people protest and stop mining, the competition to mine blocks will be reduced. Which means these pools that remain here gonna make a load of money during that protest time. This protest only works if everybody opts out. So I would say if you have a GPU, you should probably mine when EIP 1559 is launched, because you're probably gonna make a load of money if all these people are protesting. I'm assuming the difficulty would go down because there would be less people mining on the network, less hash rate, and you could jump in and make a boatload of money. The smart thing would to be done, and it's possibly what these pools are doing, is they will protest until before the difficulty is changed or something like that. But the idea is that once there's enough people supporting the pool, as in people are mining, it should be fine, and there'd be too much monetary incentive to stop mining. So a lot of people mine Sia coin, Riven coin. There's a lot of people mining all kind of altcoins, and what is gonna happen is just people gonna realize there's a huge mining opportunity. They're gonna swap over from whatever they're doing to Ethereum, and it doesn't matter what these mining pools are doing. So their belief is that if they protest, they would see there's a potential for a 51% attack, and everybody is going to say, okay, let's stop EIP 1559. What is actually going to happen is there's a huge, let's say, open hole in the market to mine, because it's so profitable, because there's so little competition. A lot of people are going to jump over, fill that hole that they are protesting on, and then it's going to be back to normal. So that's what I believe is going to happen. So now I'll move over to question and answers. I think I tried to do the best job I could and explain 1559 EIP 1559 in a simple sense. This is just I guess the best way I could do it in as least technical terms as possible. There are a lot more things we could look at and implications, but for now we'll keep it simple. Is there any question in the chat? By the way, guys, I hope you smash that like button. If you see it, great. Please make sure it blue, like just smash it, but make sure it blue. And hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Answering questions. And if we have no questions, I'll turn off the stream. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm very busy with my sister's wedding, but I did create this time slot because I wanted to explain to you guys and educate you guys. In the pre-EIP 155 model, if you realize that your transaction isn't getting included into any block, you can cancel it and retry with more gas in incentive to miners to include. Yes, that is something you can do, but the idea is that sometimes you possibly want it to be mined at a low cost. So your let's say your Ethereum gets locked up in this eternity of waiting, and then if you want to push it out and redo the transaction, now you're paying this huge fee because of a current situation, because an NFT is launching or maybe some new coin ICO or something is launching, and that let's call it variable window of high network activity is going to make your economic standing less feasible. So I don't know if that answers your question, Nicholas. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying that's what the solution will allow you to play the wait game. Any thoughts about whether Cardano addresses these problems now? Cardano at the moment doesn't address these problems. Cardano can't even address these problems because it doesn't have this problem. The Cardano doesn't have smart contracts launched yet. It doesn't have the ERC20 replacement yet. And because the amount of network transactions on Cardano is not as much, you literally can't have this problem. So, I'm assuming eventually they may have this problem, and I don't know what their solution is. I know they have things like the Babel fees. That's crazy because like you could essentially pay your fees in a ERC20 kind of token sense, and there's a lot to be unpacked there. But because Cardano is so early and it hasn't even launched smart contracts yet, it's basically impossible to really put an answer to that question. I hope I answered that question pretty alright. Mid testing. Not too sure about the YouTube name, but thanks so much for coming out. I appreciate so much. Is there any more questions? By the way, guys, this stream is usually on Friday, 6 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, Trinity time. But it was specifically for today. I moved it because of the wedding situation. I will be back on Friday next week, and I hope to continue making these videos. And anytime you have any, let's say, person who wants to know these questions, you could send them a link to this video, and it could be easily explained. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. I super appreciate everybody that came out and looked at this stream. And I'll close it up here, but definitely we will be back on Friday. We'll have another vote for the topic of the day, and hopefully it's something. I know there's talk about Pancake Swap, Uniswap. We were looking at how wallets. I was going to do a video explaining wallets from scratch and actually create wallets by flipping coins. So you guys just tell me what you want, and that's the videos we're going to make. I love you guys, and we'll keep this content growing. Peace.